very
I'm
chipper.
allergic.
You look
I
very
am
chipper.
chipper.
Yeah, good, good, good.
We're going to have to do audio only.
Really?
Yeah, Facebook changed their settings and it's brutal. I mean, I have
Okay.
YouTube. YouTube has no problems with our settings.
Okay. Well, then we can do the YouTube
All
on
right.
And then post
video.
it
We'll do the YouTube on video, and then
with a link. With a
and then
link.
and yeah, and we won't even worry about Facebook or do whatever you want with Facebook.
Yeah,
Um,
Facebook sucks.
yeah.
Fuck them. Yeah, but just
So yeah,
put
but just so
a
that we can
link.
get started.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay, so if you have some, yeah, so there's no link to give me right now, or we won't worry about Facebook. We'll just go
That
ahead.
I can turn my head on this little one, but the other little square of me is a little bit of a delay. I've just never noticed it.
Okay.
One little square is like right now, and the other one is like a 2 or 2 second delay.
That's
Okay.
because they're broadcasting on
Yeah,
the
no, but I like it. Never noticed it.
So, Vicky, you ready to start?
Yep, we're ready. Okay.
Now you can see the timer.
Yep.
It's counting down. And you can hit the clapper.
Welcome to Talking Peace with the Western New York Peace Center, being recorded here in Think Twice Radio in the home of the future, also the home of our friend and producer, Richard Wicca. Thanks, Richard. And thank you to our friends at WBNY, Buffalo's original alternative radio station, 91.3 FM, coming out of Buff State. Thank you to our friends at Buff State. And thankfulness always makes me think of our indigenous friends who, despite years of attempted genocide and all the trickery and violence and everything else that has been waged against them, still always starts things off with the Gnonyo, with thankfulness, thanksgiving, thanking our Mother Earth for giving us everything that we need for a good life here on this in this creation, for all of the creatures, all of the plants, and the trees that give us the very air we breathe, the plants giving us both medicine and nutrition, to the animals who help us in all kinds of ways, and to all of the beauty around us in the different features and of course the water. The water is life, but also gives us so much beauty and is the very at the very crux of our existence. Also to the love that really makes it all happen and to our creator. So then after all of that, then they would just say Nyahweh, and then the people would say Nyo. So Nyahweh, and you can say Nyo. Nyo.
yeah.
You know,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, and thank you for coming on. We have a special show today that is going to be about LGBTQ pride today, and I would say today and yesterday and tomorrow. So, and here and largely, in our country with this status right now. So we're very excited to have here. First, I'll mention Carol Speser. Carol Carol is a trailblazer of the LGBT community in Buffalo who has founded all kinds of groups, some of which I'll name being Stonewall Democrats, the Candlelight celebrations that you've made, the Rainbow Seniors, Western New York, that you've created and that you're still president of, and just so much work that you've done. You're really an icon in the community.
They're retired by now.
Yeah, right.
I,
No wonder. No wonder. Well, thanks so much, Carol, for coming on. Yes. And Diana Lynn Patton, Diana, has spoken at the Women's March a number of times, and has worked so hard with defend wait, defenders of democracy, is it?
Defense of democracy.
Defense of democracy. Defense of democracy. Also, we exist.
Coalition.
Coalition, right? We exist coalition. Thanks. I was trying to remember. So I run through all those names correctly because both of you are so connected in so many ways. LGBTQ veterans, that's another thing. Defense of democracy is big, and we'll talk plenty about that. But before we get into that, so thank you for coming on, Diana.
No, the honor is mine.
And then, actually, I'll never forget when you're holding the banner in your with your wheelchair, rolling down the street with the women's march in the first and second ones, the other last one, the previous time before. There's just lots and lots of times to remember. And while we're remembering things, I want to talk about values. So if we can just do a little quick, sort of a reminder to ourselves or an opportunity to uplift in this conversation of LGBTQ pride today, what are some of the values that we want to think of? So I'm going to ask Carol and then Diana if you want to just share some values that you think of in this connection.
Well, I don't even know what you mean by values, but for me, this LGBTQ, we belong to a liberation movement, and I think of it way more than the subcategory of civil rights or something. But at the core of it's a liberation movement, and like all liberation movements, at the heart of it is a liberation of the spirit. And so I think that's what I think our movement is all about. It's about becoming, who you are, being able to, like today's the summer solstice, be able to be in the light of your true self, to be able to live authentically. And so, so for me, an underlying value in all of this is always looking at things in a spiritual context. I studied a lot and went to a very intensive week-long thing at the Martin Luther King Institute for Nonviolence years ago. So I'm very grounded in that methodology. And he always had, MLK always had a spiritual component to, under everything.
Absolutely.
To understand you're part of something bigger. And it allows for, for you to understand your own oppression and what comes out of that, your anger and your grief. So I'm rambling here, but those are the values that guided for me. That and that includes that I believe in the process of what we do is more important than the outcome, even though we have a lot of goals. How we get there is more important than where we're going, because that's all we have is each other and this day, and we're always working for a future we're never really going to be in. So it makes the paradox of the present moment, especially when you're future oriented, be really what's very important. So those are my underlying values for activism.
Well, those are wonderful ones. And I want to say you really, you just touched me right off the bat when you said, liberation and liberation of the spirit, and, all the other pieces of it, and the being here now, are all so key and so inspiring and really just crucial. So, Diana, what would you put for some couple values?
Kind of the same as Carol, but mine comes from remembering the past so we know where we're going to the future. Such as the very first Pride flag wasn't a rainbow, it was a pink triangle, which is someone's are remembering the pink triangle Holocaust. And we're kind of repeating that same history right now. The people who were let go during the Holocaust, anyone who was LGBT, didn't get released until the 60s. They went right from concentration camps right into jails. So trying to remember that so we don't repeat it now would be one of the biggest things that inspires me to keep going.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that. And actually, I did not that for an extra layer of insight about the triangles because I didn't know that that was the first um, LGBTQ flag. I didn't know. I didn't think of it in that way. So that is very interesting. And my dad was, I'm always bragging on my dad and how he was, kicked out of Germany for being such a radical at the age of 15 in 1933. So that was in Munich at the very hotbed. But, what I love about what both of you said is that, the universal, it makes me think of Cornell West and the way he calls what we need is moral integrity and universal solidarity. And that universal solidarity is in underlying in both of what you said. I'm thinking so much. You see what I'm wearing here and what I'm, leaning on here and how it's all connected. So all the liberation struggles and also, and Diana, of course, you're just describing exactly what people talk about is Sankofa, right? With the mythical bird that looks backwards to, to look for, to prepare for going forward. So I think, all of that is just very inspiring and helpful to us about how it's all connected. Go ahead, Carol.
I was going to say that I think about that all the time too. That while we are a liberation movement, we are part of a greater story of liberation,
Right,
humanity's story of liberation. And
right,
I think about that a lot. That the metaphor of being on the freedom trail, and I think of who's with us, and
right.
and who because you can't do it alone. And so I think of I think about that a lot about who I am with, what other groups of people I am with on that freedom trail.
Right.
So I think that whole the story of humanity is that story of moving towards freedom, whatever that means, because none of us have really experienced it, but somehow we all seem to have a knowing in our DNA. There's a saying that goes, "We all carry within us the memory of the last man." I think they made that up before there were women,
Wow. Well,
but you get
right,
the point.
right, right.
Yeah.
Well,
But you get the point is that I do think we carry within us in some metaphysical way a real understanding of what freedom feels like. So we all be yearning.
right, right. And, I do feel that we're all in this together.
Oh
So,
gosh.
in every kind of a way. And actually, one of the ones I use is, you know, with my name being Victoria, and I've gone to reclaiming my teenage nickname of Victory. That, but for even
That's nice.
before I did that, I would still I only since I started working at the Peace Center. Now I'm just and I didn't introduce myself. So Victory Ross, I'm the board chair at the Western New York Peace Center, but I started working at the Peace Center in 2008. And when I was working with kids and we do these super names, and so I'd be Victorious Vicky. And I didn't really like the name Victoria, even though my dad called me that when he was mad at me. But mostly, I mean, I use it. It's on all my paperwork. It's my given official name. So I'd be Victorious Vicky, and I'd ask the kids the real victory, who wins, and they might say you or something like that. But most of them would really get it. Is the real victory, who wins, means everybody. And it's not a real victory unless everybody does win. And even the people who think they're winning when it's not a real victory, who are getting advantages or, the spoils or the overpower and prestige and resources and everything, are not winning because that is going to be a heavy price to pay, because of Sankofa, because of what goes around comes around, because of the law of karma. So yeah, we are all connected. So I'd like both of you to, if you would, to just a little bit, and especially you, Carol, because you're, as we go sort of like a talking circle type format, but about what, how things have changed, and then also how they haven't. So just over the years, over your lifetimes.
Oh, wow. Oh,
That's
that feels
big.
like
Well,
that's an entire course.
right.
But
No, it is but it just as, so just in the,
okay.
yeah, your
Well, they've
version.
changed. It to me, we are the fastest movement I've ever read about or heard about,
Mhm.
because just the speed in 40 years that how things have changed.
Mhm.
I think that's because we're made up of all. We are made up of all different kinds of people. So we come together, and our community just was able to move things very quickly. So when I was a kid, when I was a teenager,
Mhm.
I think you know this, but I spent 2 years in a mental hospital being treated for being gay, getting that, conversion therapy stuff.
Mhm.
So, so when I came of age, in my teenage years, it was a
Right.
mental illness or an abomination. Pick the one you want.
Mhm.
So things have, and to think how fast forward how so much has changed, because people's consciousness has changed and people's perceptions of what homosexuality was
Mhm.
and is. And the biggest change, I'm all over the place here, but the biggest change for me as an activist was people had to believe enough in themselves to risk everything and come out to the people in their lives. And once they did, everything changed, because there's no there in this stuff. There
Right.
just is nothing there.
Right.
It's a false narrative. And as much as transgender people are getting beat up, there's another false narrative. There's nothing there. People have just living their lives, wanting to live their lives, but
Right.
just the way things are turning now. So I think things have changed tremendously in the way people came out and people came together, with the way we shifted the collective consciousness in our culture.
Mhm.
We say, if it takes 20 years for an idea to go from fringe to frontier to mainstream. And I
Mhm.
think on the LGBTQ, on the gay and lesbian end of it, yes, we've done that. And I thought we were moving along quite well in terms of transgender people, but
Mhm.
the far right had other plans, and Diana can talk a lot about that. But
Right.
oh,
Yeah.
that's enough.
Thanks. Yeah. No, that's great.
Things are, when you think about now, we now have, got to the point of marriage equality, and people,
Mhm.
have been integrated into their families where it's no big deal.
And you did the first marriage in Erie County, right? Or
In New
Western
York
New York?
State,
In New
New
York
York State.
State. Wow. Right.
Mhm.
I couldn't remember. Yeah. New York
Kitty and
State.
Carol, right?
Yep, Kitty and Cheryl. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Kitty and Cheryl.
Wow.
Yep, worked very hard on, on passing marriage equality. So
Wow.
it was
Yes.
awesome.
Well, and that was such a wonderful way that happened. That was beautiful to see.
Sure, but then I'll just give a little caveat that Diana knows too, is that when SONDA, which was the state non-discrimination policy, where
Mhm.
they decided in whatever year it was passed, 2003, I think, that they would kick out transgender people so it would pass, and it was a terrible thing that the people in Albany and other people, I have to say, in Buffalo, we stood up against it. We even got the Common Council to write a resolution that we objected to it here, but they kicked out, that they took transgender out. It was a betrayal and a travesty, and gender didn't pass for years and years and years. In fact, they pushed marriage equality. I would say the white boys in New York City with the money pushed for marriage equality when that wasn't the way it should have gone.
I remember that. That's when I was first getting into all of this. Yes.
So
It was just wrong.
so
Sometimes our movement gets it wrong because money runs everything,
right. Right. Well, so
and
what's
people
your
with money in their movements were loud.
that what? I'm sorry.
The people with money in
Right.
our movement controlled
Right.
the legislative agenda.
Right.
Well, and it's like everywhere, isn't it?
Right. Right. Right.
Money.
Yeah. Money talks. Money. talk about
A lot
throwing
of
your weight
things
around.
the world go around. Yep.
So, Diana, what would you say in terms of the changes that you've seen and what you've felt over the years about those changes as they've come? How do you see it?
Well, the changes I've seen are good locally in New York State. The changes I'm seeing across our country, not so good. I see fear rising, especially in the transgender community. There's talks of trying to get an underground railroad going so people can flee those states. I field calls all the time of trans people just in total distress, trying to figure out what they're going to do. Families leaving everything behind and trying to get to Canada, not even stay in country.
Right.
So, yes, things have gotten good, but we're seeing the animal, the hate animal, get trapped in a corner, and that's when it becomes the most vicious, and it attacks the weakest point. And right now, that is the trans community.
Right. Right. Well,
It's just terrible. I'm so sorry. You know, it's just, I just didn't see this coming. It just seemed like things were progressing.
right. Well, and I would say, just from my limited perspective, it seemed like things were changing, and especially around here, around us. And maybe
Mhm.
I'm talking about Buffalo more than Western New York. And I think we can get into that about, back to just what you said, Diana, is that when people start, as things start to really change, then there's the backlash. So that's what we've seen in a lot of ways, actually, in terms of Black Lives Matter, in terms of lots of ways where, because we've been making so much progress as a society, that things are starting to change and people are starting to talk about really substantial changes. That's when it's coming out, it's after Obama, right? Or during Obama, I should say, during Obama. That's when it started to really ramp up, and it's
It
gotten
really is this
crazy.
white supremacist kind of.
Yes.
It's the last gasp.
Christian fascism.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
It's just, and so when I'm talking about that, I feel that we're on the freedom trail with lots of other liberation movements.
Yes.
So we are being targeted in the same way. So spin the dial, whether you're talking about racism or anti-Semitism or misogyny or homophobia, transphobia, xenophobia. It's just that last radical fascist, fear-based crap, and we got a fight on our hands.
Right. Well, so that sort of brings me to some other parts of it, that what we were going to talk about. Diana, especially about now, we've had some real fights, some real successes, and some real work to do in terms of, especially regionally and what do I want to
Nationally.
say? Well, nationally, and even what sort of what do I want to say, for the larger region, Pennsylvania, yeah, nationally, because that is a national summit that's going on. So, Diana, why don't you talk about just what you've been doing with defense of democracy and et cetera.
Sure. I actually became the commander of Veterans Defending Democracy in an affiliate group. And one
that
of the
national?
things
Is that national?
that's national.
Yeah,
Yes,
so that's
I'm the
very
national
cool.
commander
Yes.
of veterans.
Yes.
And what we're doing is we're combating Moms for Liberty and groups like them. And they're trying to ban books, which is against the First Amendment. They're
Right.
trying to erase anything having to do with Native Americans, Black Americans, Jewish Americans, Asian Americans, and especially LGBTQ Americans.
And
They're trying
especially,
to erase
yes.
everything
Right.
out of existence dealing with the schools. They're trying to get on school boards. They're attacking teachers and administrative staff, and even gay student alliance clubs. They're getting colleges to bring in, as you know, Michael Knowles spoke recently, who asked for the eradication of transgenderism, which if you replace transgenderism with Judaism, we're right back into 1930s Germany. So it's just a repeat, like I said, of history. And so we just got charter buses, and we are going to protest the National Moms for Liberty Conference in Philadelphia. We have a bus that's leaving at 8 a.m. on Wednesday, June 28th, and we'll be returning on the 30th. We have sign making on the 29th, along with volunteer and protest training and a drag queen story hour at the hotel we're staying at. And then on Friday, we go and protest, where both our president, Karen Zavoboda, and I have been asked to speak.
Great.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Well, it's what can I say? It's so intense. It's so intense because it's very exciting. It's very alarming. It's very tempting because I'm thinking about, I know I have some things on those dates already, and I'm like, whether I can manage to go, because it would really, it's so important to go and to, be present,
Show up.
show
You have
up,
to show up, and you have to
and be in the
show
street.
up and speak up.
And we
Right.
need the people.
Right.
We need the people.
Right.
We got people actually flying in from Texas and California and all over the states coming in just for this. So it's not just the two buses that we have. We actually have
Sure.
people flying in from all over the country.
So
this.
where can people, so first of all, we are going to get it put up on the Western New York Peace Center website, and we were talking about that.
Yes.
And Facebook page, and we were talking about that before we started the show. But that is still yet to be done, so I don't think it's up yet, unless I'm mistaken. I could be, it's happened before. But where can people definitely find that bus? Where's the
They can either
places?
contact me through Facebook or my email, Diana at defensivedemocracy.org. Or they can go to defensivedemocracy.org, click on get involved, click volunteer, watch your little 15-minute video, answer the questions, and now you're in, and you can get sent the link to come as well.
To sign in. And so what you're saying is, when is it leaving on, and when is it coming back?
June 28th, 8 a.m. We're leaving.
That's a reasonable time, not 4 o'clock in the morning like some people like or something. No, 8 a.m.
But right now we're scheduled with 4 other stops, but we don't have anyone. We only have one person that we need to pick up so far. We're going to be stopping in Albany, and then I think Hudson and possibly New Jersey, then going to Philadelphia. So it's going to be a long bus ride.
Ugh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But if we don't get anyone signed up in the last two places, we're just going to go pick up the guy from Al Jazeera, who's going to ride the bus with us.
Oh, okay. Is he in
the
Albany?
Reporter from Al Jazeera. Huh?
Is he in Albany, or where is he?
Yeah, he's in Albany.
Right.
We're going to pick him up, and then we head straight down to Philadelphia.
Right. And so leaving at 8 a.m. on the 28th, Wednesday the 28th, you said?
Wednesday the 28th,
and then
8 a.m. in Hamburg.
Back?
We're leaving from Hamburg and heading straight out.
Oh, okay. So people should get to Hamburg for 8 a.m.
The Gabe's Plaza.
Gabe's Plaza.
In Hamburg, right off South Park, 6000 South Park Ave, I think is the address. That's where we're going to be leaving from.
And then when are you planning to be back, roundabout?
We're leaving 8 p.m. on Friday the 30th. So we should be back somewhere around 4 in the morning on Saturday.
Right.
So
Wow.
bring your blankets and pillows.
Right, blankets and pillows. Yeah, and you know, and it you as things stand, you should have some space on the bus to
Oh, right
make
now we have
yourself
plenty of space
right.
because it's such short notice. This was a donation. We
Right.
got an angel donation. I don't want to say how much,
No, no,
but
that's all right.
this
Mhm.
is all getting paid for. We even have limited hotel rooms for anyone who wants to go as well.
Wow.
So if you can't afford a hotel room, we have hotel rooms if in case you can't afford it. So
Right.
it'll be great.
And so the idea, so it's the summit, the so-called Moms for Liberty are having their summit. So are you
Yes.
going to be protesting outside the convention center or something, or
The
what's the
Marriott
plan?
Hotel
Okay,
where
Marriott
they're
Hotel.
they're staying
Uh-huh.
is where we're going to be protesting. We also did a petition to try to get the Marriott to cancel hosting the conference. We ended up getting over 26,000 signatures nationwide to
Wow.
get them to
Mhm.
cancel because
Sure.
there's supposedly an LGBT positive workplace.
Right. Right.
And this is only 3 blocks from the gay district in Philadelphia.
Oh
So
boy.
and we there's the Black History Museum in Philadelphia is supposed to give a tour to Moms for Liberty, hosting them as well. And we sent a video van
Wow.
to show who Moms for Liberty is around the Black History Museum.
Uh-huh.
We did that all last week and it was pretty good. Hopefully they won't be hosting them because the people working there don't want them there as well.
Right. No, I bet they don't. I bet they don't. Well, it's just honestly, it's so, it's part of this. There's a craziness about the mindlessness, the lying, and the just blatant uh,
Hatred.
hate. Yeah,
That's what it
that is
is.
so
Just hatred.
plain. It's so
Well, it's so
plain.
much easier to mobilize around hate than it is around love. So it's much easier to mobilize around hate. You know,
Well, yes
it's
and
much
no.
easier for
I mean,
those people,
well,
the others. It's
right.
it's effective. So
The
so
fear.
we have to rise up and do our stuff in a better way.
Right. Well,
See,
and
I think it's a lot of it is to do with how we organize at a local level. And, you're going to talk about the school board stuff in a little bit, but I think there's a lot of, plans of action that we need to sit down and develop in lots of ways that we can counter this, and not just in a shooting star way, which is important, where you do one thing, but a sequence of things that yield you the goals
oh
you
yeah.
want, and you have to just
We need to remember to attack the issues and not the people.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Attack
Sure,
the issues,
absolutely.
not the people. A lot of these people have gone down dark rabbit holes. They're not bad people. At least that's my hope.
They're confused. They are very, very, very confused and fearful. And
Yes.
fearful and angry. And, I mean, there's a lot of things that go into it. But I feel like, well, one thing I wanted to bring up, because Carol, you're such a great, both of you really are such great organizers. So that's where that gives me a lot of hope. And certainly you have a lot of allies. So we need to, like you said, right from go, that this is all of our issue, because it's the same freedom trail that we're all on, that liberation movement that we're in, that needs to, come to the aid. So,
Oh, you know what? I just say
go
that
ahead.
I like what Diana said too about that you don't attack the
Oh,
person,
yeah.
you deal with the issue.
Sure.
And so part of that for me to hitchhike off of that is that, when you're trying to change the way people see themselves and the way people's attitudes and stuff, that it's important to look at, you're talking about identifying allies, but also it's important to identify people that are tepid about the issue,
Right.
who could be swayed either way. because those are the people that you work with over, over time, develop a relationship with, so that you begin to have that personal relationship that you can shift their values. Because there's, we want to change the way people think. You want to change the shared collective consciousness in the culture, which is how change happens. But you also, at the other end of it, want to be able to put in place legislation and policies
Right.
that, because you can't legislate kindness, but you can legislate behavior. So I'm a believer in doing both, in
Right.
opening minds and hearts, and also, policies, procedures. I'm just going to take a real quick thing about getting older and knowing there is nothing in place for us for LGBTQ people, and particularly transgender people, if they're ever in New York State, wind up in a nursing home or assisted living. There's nothing locally, no protections, nobody has non-discrimination policies, nobody has a consciousness about it. If you're transgender, you are so screwed if you wind up. So that is something that we can deal with locally, which is to put protective policies in place and guidelines and best practices, because I actually believe a lot of people just want to do it better, and you can,
Right.
as part of liberation, you can just help them do it better. But to be able to pragmatically, make it easier for transgender people when they age, and they're vulnerable.
Right.
So there's lots of
What's that phrase? We're only as good as we treat the least among us, or something along those lines.
Sure.
Which means how we treat our minorities and the people of the smallest populations within our community. How we treat those people is our reflection of how good we are.
Right. Right. Well, one of the things I actually, as you were talking, especially, first of all, I definitely agree on the both and, because we do need the laws and we need the procedures and all of the things that will, really force people to do right as much as possible. But the other thing about hearts and minds makes me think of, very much so, and also what you were saying, Diana, and I know this is your background anyway, of Reverend Dr. King and the whole thing, that nonviolent direct action has always been, which is not to hating on the persons, but to show extreme care and regard for them while not being willing to be pushed on the issue, while standing up for the issue.
The
Right?
strongest, most meaningful protests have always been the peaceful protests.
Right.
One of my favorite ones in history was the lunch counter protest.
Right.
Those
Right.
people went through hell day after day, and they didn't do a thing. And that's when things started to change. Not the riots. And there's a place and a time for riots. I don't necessarily agree with them, but there is a time and a place. But peaceful protest has always been what turned the corner.
Right.
It's what turned the corner.
Well, because what you said, because what Carol, what you said in the very beginning about the means, the means that people are using, and I always think of this, that the means dictate the ends received. So if you're violent in your, efforts, then it's not going to be a good result. So that this is where we have, it's the old being the change thing. It's another version of that same thing, and it is a struggle. But I'm very excited about what about this trip, and definitely, I mean, we want to fill that bus, not necessarily totally full, because if it's that long a ride,
let's fill it.
we
Let's
want
fill the whole bus.
Okay,
Fill the
fill
whole
it. People
bus.
have to put their legs, on each
But
other,
Vicky,
so
that's
you
what
can
Vicky,
lie
you're
down.
you're thinking you can lay down on the two seats.
I was,
If we fill a bus, we'll get a second bus.
Right.
We've already
okay.
been told this.
Oh,
We
okay.
get a bus,
Good.
we'll get a
Okay, then
second bus.
we definitely want to fill it. Yes, we want to fill it. Yeah. And beside the fact that people can still find a way, or the adrenaline will be the other way, because I know when I was on the Magic bus, I took a two-day bus ride in Europe one time, and I only slept for an hour and a half. So I was very exhausted when the time came, though.
Try a
So
military ship sometime, and we'll see how you do there.
I don't think I'll
Going
do
through
well.
a hurricane off of
No, I'm
Norway.
not. No, it doesn't do. That's what I'm saying. People, it. We'll just see. But it's great. It's great that you've got that organized. And I think one thing we'd like to also think about a little bit is if you want to talk a little bit about the school board races around here, because that can energize people about the the victories that we can have and we will have by doing the right thing.
I've been to 7 different districts so far, speaking at school board meetings, or at least showing up. I've
Thank
even
you.
went in November before the November storm and took a trip down to Hudson Valley in Warwick in Florida, Orange County, New York,
Wow.
to with our president Karen Zabota, and spoke at their school board meeting, and ended up getting caught in a blizzard. And I
Wow.
can't drive more than 20 minutes without being in extreme pain. So that was
Wow.
an interesting trip.
Wow.
But the school board races this year, we won hands down across the boards. We told Moms for Liberty and another local hate group, the Constitutional Coalition of Western New York,
Oh my God.
to basically go to hell. And we defeated them all. Matter of fact, they're so on my butt about what we're doing. They're now trying to follow where I go to speak at each school board. Their leader, Nancy Orticelli, just went to Lancaster school board meeting last night. So it's quite interesting that, when these people start mentioning you at every turn and corner, you're doing something right.
Right. Right. Well, so
But along with that,
go ahead.
and it's great that you are there at these to stop that stuff happening at that local level on the school boards. But that is telling you what's coming. They went back to the drawing board, and they're going to come back in a different way, because I often think they're way more clever than us, diabolically clever, because we're just.
This is the second year in a row we defeated them. The year before last, they only won 4 races, and only 2 of those were actually races that were contested. So 2 of them had nobody running against them, and they were very small districts. So
But they're going to find ways to run for other elective offices,
Right.
And so so it gets to the point of where certainly in a proactive way we're getting voter registration. I think that none of that is being done in our local LGBTQ community in a comprehensive way. Years ago, that was a big part of things, but people got lax and just sort of folded into the Democratic Party and didn't mobilize within our own community. And I think when I look at stuff, I think that is something that we have to. You're talking about looking forward and back at the same time.
Right.
I always the Roman god Janus could do that too. Look forward and back at the same time.
Right.
But,
Right.
But that is a methodology that we need to bring back now we have social media and all other ways to do that. But there's lots of opportunities, especially at this month. And to think that no voter registration went on anywhere during Pride, it's just not in a comprehensive way. I'm sure you're carrying around forms and everything and making sure everybody's up to date with their address and everything. But we have to, and not just voter registration, but the whole get out the vote part, because what counts is getting themselves to the polls.
Right.
And we can do that. We can do that. It's
We
one
need-
by one.
one thing we need for the buses for the people from New York State that are going is someone to bring New York voter registrations on the bus. It's one of the things we plan on doing is making sure everyone on the bus registers.
It's
Right.
great.
Well, that's
Matter of fact,
something.
I've been talking to Brian Ball, as you know, the
Sure.
current president
Right.
of Stonewall Democrats,
Mm-hmm.
and we've been playing phone tag. But I'm hoping Stonewall Democrats can join us for the bus ride as well.
Wonderful.
Well, that would be great. But
Yeah.
at least they could, that's a smart move and get them to get those forms in.
And if you don't get them there or not quick enough, the League of Women Voters or even the Western New York Peace Center, right in
Right.
that network of religious communities
Anyone we
building,
can get.
they have a
Anyone
bunch
we can get.
of the forms. So you need the forms, and we need the forms. We need to be doing that. You're so right about the organizing around that, because, I mean, there's so many tricks that are being played.
Oh my
And the
God,
other
it's-
thing, and what you
The
said,
tricks are amazing.
and what you
And we
said,
need to unite the districts. We need to unite all the school districts. So if they're attacking one, they're attacking all of them.
Good,
Right.
right.
It's
Right.
the biggest thing I've been stressing when I'm helping all these districts. Hey, you need us to come there. We need you to come here. Like Orchard Park has been the biggest school district under attack from these groups locally.
uh-huh.
Second would be Hamburg. Third is Lancaster. Those three districts have been under attack. And then probably Williamsville after that, with Western New York Students First, another group that's attacking all the same stuff as Moms for Liberty. And we just got Moms for Liberty put on the Southern Poverty Law Center
Good.
listing as an
Thank you.
anti-government extremist hate group.
Thank you.
That
Thank
happened
you.
last week.
Oh, good.
Each chapter listed separately.
You know, I have to say, I am so, in awe of both of you, of what you've managed to do or managing to do, and all the leadership and all the commitment and wisdom and insight and passion and compassion, that you both bring to this struggle,
Everybody does their part.
right? And there's
I just try to be the best tickle monster I can when I'm doing it.
Oh, okay. Well, there is just such a lot to do, and it's really important. I know we all need to do our own, self-care to just manage, because it's overwhelming at times to,
You
just
have
when
to
you
take breaks.
right,
You have to take
you have to
breaks.
take breaks. And also because, Carol, what you said about, well, don't, just know they'll come back again. So it's like the Hydra, or something. You were just mentioning about the Romans or the Greek, there's the Hydra, and every time you cut off the head, it would grow two more. So what
And
the
that's
thing
why
is,
we have our Avengers right here on your show today. Carol, I, and you.
Yeah.
We're the Avengers.
we're going to be the Avengers, right? Superheroes and heroines of all kinds, and heroes, Shiraz, and every other combination we can have. It's so important to enjoy our victories, and then to be ready. And just, this is why what you said about it's a spiritual battle. To me, that is one of the biggest things, one of the biggest sources of strength, is just that awareness that it's a spiritual battle. So then, if it seems that things are stacked against us, or if we are getting tired or whatever, it's just sort of, to me, it's such a source of strength to realize it's, you don't get too hung up on, what it looks like, or all the bad news that keeps coming at us, or the many, 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 many different ways that it's all, and the many, many resources that are coming at us. Because as a spiritual battle, then we just have to approach it in a spiritual way, and not get discouraged with what it looks like or how it sounds like, or anything like that, and just, try to have that wisdom, to have the balance, so that we can, not over-tap ourselves, not, to realize that, I always think of this was one of the early things to me when it said, a social movement is not a solo act. that we need to keep reaching out, and we need to keep, it's not about what we do. It's about, it's partly for us, about each of us, for what we do, but also that we're reaching out and that we're building together and that we're helping each other and growing, together and reaching out to
But
the
it's
people.
about creating change at a deep level,
Right.
and I always like that. There's no social transformation without inner work.
Right.
And so what you're talking about, about having a spiritual grounding, I don't see any other way to do it, because it's not just all fighting. A
Right.
big part of it is healing,
Right.
and you're dealing. You have to manage complex feelings, surges of anger, and to me, one of the worst feelings that I can't do to this day is betrayal. And I think that's a core thing that LGBTQ people feel from when they were little kids, and all of a sudden they figure out that who they are, better not talk about it, better not act it. And there's this fundamental betrayal when you're an innocent kid and realize that whoever you think you are, you better muffle it. So I think it's a lot of the stuff, and I don't think that we're unique. Everybody has their own, hate is a shapeshifter, and it looks,
Right.
it changes. It looks like this when it's racist and when it's anti-Semitic, but it still is at the center of it is this otherizing. It's an us and them, and that's the big revelation. That's a big joke, is when you figure out that, oh, there is no us and them, only us. And
Right.
that's what the people who you are battling against, when you're saying don't address it from an institutional point of view. Don't go after individuals, because they'll just pop up new ones.
Right.
But it is that awakening to that satori, that illumination, to it being, it's just us. We're all one big us. That
Right.
is profound.
Right.
The one thing,
that's the goal here, isn't it?
Right.
the one thing I like to tell anybody who wants to step up and become an advocate or an activist, I said the only thing you need to remember, and being a veteran, we love our acronyms, is SID. SID, C-I-D, communication, inspiration, and determination. You got to be able to communicate what you want. You have to inspire the change, not demand it. And you have to be committed, determined to make that change happen.
That's beautiful, and it's a lot like Peace Jam. It's one of my favorite things. It's a kids program that is, with a curriculum that is created with Nobel Peace Laureates. But what they say is education, inspiration, and action. So, which is, covers basically a lot of the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not an acronym, it's just doing it. So either if it's an acronym or if it's doing it, or, we need to be doing it no matter what we call it or whatever we do. But both of you do it so much. So I just, we're coming around towards the end of the show here. So I want to go back to what people can do. So we've been talking about the spiritual work and the inner work that people can do, and that is a critical piece. But so, and what people can realize and educate ourselves on too. So, but I just want to give each of you a chance now to, what would you like to remind people or offer people, as closing thoughts? So we'll just go around. So Carol and then Diana, and then.
Okay, well, we were saying, what can people do? So I'm there thinking about what can people do.
Right.
And one of the things is certainly get involved with, it does seem all overwhelming. So the more local we look at things, the more we're dealing just with our neighborhood, so to speak, the easier it gets to be able to deal with stuff. And so for me, the most effective way for people to make change, we were talking earlier about identifying allies and nurturing allies and taking the time to develop them. But the other part is to be an ally. So
Right.
that is what, be a bridge builder. So
Right.
for me, go be very openly, whatever you are, involved in a complementary movement in a substantive way, in a because an ally says, how can I help? And then shuts up and listens, you don't say, here's what I'm going to do for you.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that's been a path that I followed my whole life, which is to, it is not a tributary that you're taking. It's a smart path to build your allies by being an ally, by being who you are, your fabulous self, in another context, helping other people, because it will come, like you're talking karma. That's how it comes back to you, not you call a meeting for everybody you think is your ally, and then they should come and help you on your crap.
Right.
No,
Right.
no, that's how you get out there.
Yeah.
Get out there.
You're so right. You're so right. Thanks so much, Carol. And Diana, what would you say for just closing thoughts for people?
Don't think you're alone. One voice is all it takes. You stand up and other people will stand up with you. But you got to take the first step and stand up yourself. Get organized. Find a group. Moms Demand Action, Western New York Peace Center, Veterans for Peace, Defense of Democracy. All these are great organizations. Stonewall Democrats.
Right.
Any of them. Get involved.
Or be a checkbook activist. That's another way for some people that
Yes.
can't
Money,
do
money, money. Money
Yeah.
makes
well, but
the world
because
go round.
I'm telling you, it runs everything. So
Right.
and it runs us. It and Vicky knows this as well as anybody, that we're limited in what we do because of the damn fundraising end
Right.
of everything.
Right.
And because what we would do if we so that's another way people can help by being checkbook activists.
Absolutely.
And please go to Defense of Democracy. We are running on fumes for our funding.
Oh, there you go. See,
we are a completely volunteer organization right now. We are hurting for money. We have a wish list on Amazon. We have someone who's helping us with Etsy with our shirts, like the one I got on now. And we need the funding. We're looking for grants. We have positions that are open that we're hoping to become paid positions. Me, myself, I'm a total volunteer. I wouldn't do anything but volunteer. I don't think I should get paid for what I'm doing. I love doing it.
Well, we couldn't love it more what both of you are doing. And I'm so grateful that some checkbook activist has enabled that trip to protest Moms for so-called Moms for Liberty. So let's have some real liberty. And
Yes.
and I hope they get some real liberty to realize that that we're all in this together. And you've both presented that so beautifully. I want to say we have our challenges. We are all in this together. But I couldn't be more grateful to both of you for being on the show, for all that you do all the time. You've just
my pleasure.
Both.
And nice being able to be here with Diana.
Oh,
thank you. It's been a while since I saw you as well. So it's always a pleasure.
Well,
and it's an honor, Vicky.
Oh,
my honor always to whenever you call.
Well, ours to you both, and I just can't thank you enough. So I'll just say that, this is Talking Peace, and together we've been talking peace in truth and love. That's the show.
Okay.
I really thank you both so much. That is such a strong show. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Let me ask Diana something.
Yes.
Sure. So so I can steer people your way for your trip and for your for funding. If people want to give. Do you for the trip? Do you have a Facebook event page or something where
I posted the event on the sign up for it on Stonewall Democrats' Facebook page.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
The
and
link
we'll
is there.
we'll find some other places. Be sure to send it. If send it, copy me so that I can make sure it's getting everywhere it can go because we want to
Yeah,
fill
let's
those
get that
buses.
around because I
Yeah.
didn't see it, but
Yep.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
on
yeah.
Black Intelligent Ladies Association. They've posted
Okay.
it up.
Now,
I haven't put it on my Facebook page yet because mine's monitored so much and we don't want Moms for Liberty signing up trying to take seats.
okay,
But I'm
right.
probably going to be posting it up tomorrow.
So on that note, I'm going to have to let you go because we have another show to do and we're
Oh,
starting
that's
late.
right. Okay.
So,
So
but
I'm going to sign off.
so much love and
Thank you.
gratitude to you both. Absolutely. I'm going to see if I can go, but anyway, much love and deep
Please do,
thanks.
please do.
Well, I want to, but we'll see. We'll see.
Well,
We'll
hopefully
see.
I can help you get some people there, Diane.
Yep.
I can't do it, but
We're gonna do.
let's see what we can do and
Yep.
get some other folks.
Brian's got my number. So
That we will.
Because it's fun.
Yes.
always
Brian's
fun.
got my number. Get a hold of me.
Thank you
All
both.
righty. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye for now. Take care. Much love. Okay, yes. Okay. So, Richard, here. Oops. Richard, whenever you're available. Hi, I'm trying to get you in. Richard is coming, I guess. I'm gonna let you in. It's hard for me to work his things, and he's not in the room. We were late with the other show. We just finished taping that show.
Okay, 'cause I'm like, I'm late. I don't
Yeah.
want to call, but I
No, it wasn't your fault. It's my fault, and I can't figure out how to do this. Richard. Hi. Richard. Yep. I'm trying to let them in. I don't know how to. So I'm on different. There's different attached. Okay. Yep. Thanks. Bye. Oops. Okay. Yeah, if you can let them in, I couldn't figure it out how to get up there. I tried that.
See?
Oh, now it's there. But before when I was looking at it, it was nothing was happening. So I guess you have to, it's just like other things. Sometimes it's sort of behind or it won't come unless you, but I wasn't sure that was the right thing. I tried that one. Okay. So they should be in now. Hi. Can you hear me?
Hey, Vicky. Yep.
Hey,
how's it
I'm
going?
sorry.
Hi.
We were slow on the other show, so we were just finishing it. So Richard is just getting things set up. Give me 1 minute and I'll be right back too. I'm sorry that we're late.
No problem.
Just happened. So unusual, I'm sure. Anyway, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Hi. Are you both there now still?
Yep.
Yeah, hi.
There.
So just to let you know, what happened with, I can see you. I don't imagine you can see me.